Hello my dear friends. In this video I want to share a bit about my first 10-day silent meditation retreat. Ever since I heard about this concept I was really fascinated by it, especially after reading a lot of reviews of people saying how life-changing it has been. And so when I finally, after 2 or 3 years, had this opportunity to do so, I booked my ticket and I left to France. The Hridaya Yoga Meditation Center, actually, where I also took my yoga course, as you can see in one of the other videos. And the approach is slightly different from the Vipassana approach, which is the tradition or lineage that has basically brought this whole concept of 10-day meditation retreats well known to the mainstream masses, as more and more people are starting to explore this. But the way Hridaya approaches this 10-day experience is they also add in a bit of yoga, which is just great, because one of the main complaints people are having about the 10-day meditation Vipassana retreats is the fact that their joint starts hurting, or that they're just not allowed to have any other movement practices in there. And so it's great to also have this kind of bodily portal into silence that we had here in Hridaya. And it also allowed me to have really profound yoga experiences. I mean, my yoga practice really improved as I was able to really take my time to be super mindful with the stretches and going slightly out of my comfort zone with, the poses. So this had about 6.5 hours of meditation, sitting in silence, and then 1.5 hours of yoga, as composed to the Vipassana experience, which has about 10.5 hours of silence. Now, in this retreat especially, we had a bit of an overview of how all kinds of different religions approach this theme of meditation. For example, the Christians call it prayer. There's also the Tantric or the Shaivism approach, and then you have the classical Tibetan Buddhist approach. So as they explained all of these, I could slowly start to understand the core of it, which I thought I was pretty good at. I thought I was a pretty good meditator, I've been meditating for 3 or 4 years. But I've been really humbled, I must say, in this doing this retreat, because it was really only after about day 5 or 6 that I was able to experience just 5 minutes of silence. I thought I was doing great with meditation, but I really saw how that was not the case. Especially the first days, I had days where I had maybe a combined silence of about 30 minutes, while near the last days it was definitely bettering, let's say. And so my experience, or my intention to go there basically was the fact that I wanted to have this experience, but also that I was dealing with quite a lot of panic and anxiety in my daily life, especially around this whole theme of my work and my career and my life purpose. This is something that has been playing in my life, and it was really starting to drag me down. And so also on this retreat I arrived with this baggage, so to say. It was really starting to become a bunch of clusterfuck of negative thought patterns, really. And so the first day was still waking up with this feeling of discontent, chaos, drudgery, but I could see this fog slowly fading over the days, luckily. And I could also start to experience positive emotions again, especially the vision of a positive future for myself, which was kind of lost, and this gave me hope again to continue this journey of life, so to say. Also, the first days I was experiencing a lot of thoughts about food, sex, and just old childhood memories. And the thoughts about food were even about meat, and I'm a vegan chef, so this was really really funny. I was thinking about how I can cook nice chicken and stuff, and was just like, what the fuck, um, but that improved, that I was able to focus more on my center and on silence. And yeah, the whole technique is really basically, at least here, it was focused on returning to the heart and feeling what is there. And it's a very cleansing practice to do, to just remain with the heart, the energetic center. And as I started doing this over time, I could almost feel layers being peeled off as I went into grief. And there was about 3 times where I really cried, just existential suffering and thoughts about my father or the people that I've heard or brought along with me in this life journey, especially concerning the stuff I've been going through the last years with psychosis kind of things. Yeah, that really came up, and I was able to process and ground that, which was really good for me to finally deal with that, you know, seeing the suffering that I've been going through and really feeling it as well, instead of just like, oh yeah, it's there, but I'll just carry it. This time I really allowed myself to realize that it has been hard for me, you know, and to sit with that. Some peak experiences I've had during this retreat. It's so funny to watch this Buddha over here. So some peak experiences I've had during this retreat. At one point I was sleeping at night in a bunk bed and I felt my chest popping up, and I felt a moment of complete oneness with the person that was on top of the bunk bed. I was sleeping below, and I felt complete oneness with him. It was really weird. It felt like 5 seconds of complete surrender and bliss. But it was pretty cool to experience it. Pretty hard to place it, but I think maybe it was like a little pre-taste towards samadhi, or what they call, you know, bliss, which is the state after you have cleansed away all your karma. And I feel like if you believe in that, you know, I feel like I've burned a lot of karma in this retreat, just being able to sift through the mental clutter and emotional shit that was in my system. So this journey has definitely inspired to keep going on this path and learn more, and eventually I want to do a 17-day experience and a 49-day experience whenever there's the time for that. And I also feel like becoming a yoga teacher is something that is growing on me more and more, as this path definitely has a lot of value for me. And even though during this retreat I was a bit discontent with not really achieving what I wanted, you know, at one point I wanted to be able to let go of the negative emotions and negative cycle I was in, which I was able to. The other point, I had this underlying expectation of finding out, you know, more practical answers on my mission here, or my life purpose. And yeah, friends that know me know that I seem to have a focus on this, and even though I set out to let go of that during this retreat, it still was there somehow. Especially the first days, my thoughts were really focused on this whole cluster of trying to figure out what I'm gonna do with my career. So I didn't really receive answers to that, but I received more of a feeling of all is well around this topic, which will help me to just keep walking and keep progressing on this journey of life. So that was my 10-day meditation experience. Thank you for tuning in, and see you next time. Cheers.